Welcome to the World Explorers Podcast. I'm Isaac.
I'm Casey.
And we just watched the Mario movie. That is a real thing that we just did. So, usually we do some world building each week. That's what the World Explorers Podcast is supposed to be. But this time around, we decided that we were going to watch and review the Mario movie because
we promised that at one point,
yes.
And that is now our most viewed video. So we felt like we should honor it.
Yes. So, what were your thoughts on the Mario movie coming out of it? Oh, spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, all the spoilers. To summarize it in a sentence, it was a really good time, but there was no characters whatsoever. There was zero character developments, no character arcs.
That is extremely accurate.
But it was a good time. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, don't mind the dog, by the way.
If you can see her.
Yeah, she decided to join us, and she's very needy.
Also, for those who are only listening to audio, I'm at Isaac's house right now, and there's a dog, and the audio quality has jumped significantly because we're using his mic. You know, just little things like that. It'll go back to normal next week. But if you want to see us in person, you can switch to YouTube, and we have a video of us on there.
So, my thoughts coming out of the Mario movie were mostly, it's kind of like if you ate a bunch of mushrooms and you had no idea what they would do. And that's what it was kind of like experiencing the Mario movie. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I came out surprised for sure. It was definitely a fun movie. It was not, I would not call it anywhere near top tier quality movie. If you're looking for anything with deep character development, interesting lore, world building, fun, like, you know, unique plot. Fun plot, sure. Unique plot, no. Interesting plot, I can't say so. But fun, it was definitely fun.
It you could tell that it was for younger kids in the fact that it just went 800 miles per hour and you could keep up with it. But I could see if a lot of people probably couldn't. There's probably some people came out of that movie theater like, that was the most hectic 90 minutes of my life, and I don't know what's happened during any of it. Because it was very fast-paced. Like, one moment you're at Peach's castle, the next moment they're at the Donkey Kong King, and then they're back at Peach's castle, and then they're back in Brooklyn at some point, and you're just going like, okay, we're just jumping everywhere. That's fine.
Yeah, and something else. There were a lot of seemingly like plot points and character moments that made no sense. Like the critical part of me is already coming out. But
this is gonna be a movie destroying. We're just gonna destroy the Mario.
It had a lot of problems.
It's a really good movie. You should watch it. It's really fun. Now here's everything that's went horribly wrong with it.
Yes, it had. That's like the main thing though about the criticisms versus the positives is that the positives are basically it was fun. Nonsense and fun.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was an adventure for sure. And it was funny. It had interesting animation and it was funny.
We did enjoy ourselves.
Yes, we did enjoy ourselves, to be clear. Now, again, it's not a movie that is going to win any Oscars, or at least I hope it's not.
Oh my goodness.
It does not deserve Oscars. But
it deserves a sequel though. For whatever that's
I'm not sure about that. I want to see the sequel.
I want to
see
Yoshi.
But I don't know if it deserves a sequel.
I would not be upset if they made a sequel. Okay, I think a better thing to say is I would watch a sequel.
Yes. Yeah, I would watch a sequel too. I don't think it deserves it, but I will watch it.
I would watch it, and I probably enjoy it still.
So now we get to the criticisms because that's about all that's left, honestly.
Yep, prepare yourselves for like 45 minutes of criticism. Let's go.
So in the opening of the movie, we see Mario and Luigi running through Brooklyn. And because they're trying to get to a leaky faucet to fix it. And along the way, Mario is doing a bunch of jumps. He's sliding down poles. He's doing what you would expect to see in a Mario movie where he's just sort of bouncing through Brooklyn.
Parkour.
Yeah, he's doing a bunch of parkour. And then we have Luigi sort of stumbling through everything as Mario's opening a bunch of gates for him.
Yeah.
And so it's establishing early in the movie, Mario is competent in this area. He is good at parkour. He's Jumpman Mario. He can do all the things where meanwhile Luigi is not that competent. But then later in the movie, we are shown Mario being wildly incompetent for some reason and unable to do parkour.
Meanwhile, Luigi is jumping over lava pits.
Yes! Luigi!
And dodging the dry bones like they're nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the dry bones, by the way, like that's a good transition.
They were cool.
Yeah.
I thought they were epic. They were genuinely creepy. But in like a good, and there was still a comical essence to them. They were creepy comical in the way that they fell apart, but then they reformed. And at one point, it looked like they had intestines, so I don't know what was up with that. But otherwise, the animation of them forming back together was cool, and the red gleaming eyes and Luigi's panic.
Yeah, it was really interesting because you always see dry bones in Mario. They jump on their heads and the skeletons sort of fall apart, and it's just like, oh, that's so funny. And then they come back together with the sound. And this time around, like when the skeletons form back together, like I think there was like a clicking sound, like like bones, and it was genuinely creepy. They had red fiery eyes, which I think they do in the games
they do.
as well. Yeah,
but it's canon.
They made it like like when you really think about what dry bones are, they are legitimately creepy, and the people making this movie knew that, and so they took this creepy concept that was made goofy in the video games and made it creepy again.
Yeah, which was clever on their part, because this is the whole horror, he's running away. And it felt like it was supposed to be a nod to Luigi's Haunted Mansion. But then he gets inside this, what I think is Bowser's old castle, but it had the Haunted Mansion vibe, like it was supposed to give you the feeling of that
it might
game.
have
Like
been a mansion. I don't know what he went into.
Yeah, he had his flashlight that goes in and out and everything, and you're like, it's the mansion. He turns around, and instead of booze, it's Shy Guys. And I'm sitting there going, where are the boos? Like, just, I needed 5 seconds of a boo scaring him racing out, and then he could be kidnapped by the Shy Guys. And we didn't get that. And I'm still, to this day, disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't include the booze. It was a total missed opportunity. It's like, you made the Haunted Mansion. It is known for having ghosts. Why do we not see a single ghost? We see Shy Guys, which look almost like ghosts. But I mean, they float around.
It's not Boo.
It's not a Boo.
There was one Boo. There was King Boo at one point, but there was definitely a distinct lack of Boo, and they just had the setting for him, and they didn't give it, and I was sad.
Yeah, and it's not like they didn't have the budget to make a Boo model and then just put it in the Haunted Mansion, because they have King Boo. Remove the crown. There's your Boo. Mm-hmm. Like, why didn't they include the Boos? And they all look the same, so just copy and paste. That's part of, I'd say, one of the advantages of having Illumination do this movie is that Illumination tends to do fairly inexpensive movies around $50 million. And in a movie like Mario, where everything is copy-paste, like I'd say Illumination was probably the perfect choice, honestly, for the Mario movie, just for that reason. So they could actually up the animation quality and up the casting roles, because the animation budget, in a way, it doesn't need to be quite as high. Yeah. But the animation was still actually pretty good. Like, especially, again, given that it's Illumination, who is not known for making great movies. Like, Illumination has a pretty bad track record.
You're gonna get so much heat for you saying that.
Yes.
Some people are diehard Illumination fans.
To all of you people who are fans of the Minions movies, I am not sorry. Anyway, so they actually had several movies from Illumination, like clips of them playing before this movie did. And as they went through the movies, we started off with Despicable Me, which is a pretty great movie.
No, I do love Despicable Me.
And then
it was like Life of Pets.
The Grinch.
The Grinch is
Grinch isn't
I
too
refuse
bad.
to watch The Grinch for personal reasons, but my mom and little brother love The Grinch, so I assume it's a good movie. And then and I just kept going through them, and I'm like, some of these I haven't watched, some of these I will never watch, some of these I regretted watching, to be honest.
But anyway, so as they went down the list, it just got worse and worse and worse as they went through the movies. And then they wound up the Mario movie. And then that was not the last thing on their list. The last thing was the new movie they're working on called Migration, which is not what this video is about. I just thought it was funny that they went through the list and eventually got to the Mario movie, which went up in quality.
Yeah.
So just so you know, those are at least my thoughts on Illumination as a whole.
I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself.
People now know what your thoughts are.
What?
Well, if you're going to stay silent, that means you have a controversial opinion, which means...
Oh, really? Despicable Me's the first two were the only good movies Illumination has really ever made.
Anyway, so Mario movie.
Yeah.
The plot was... Hectic, yeah. It was mostly Mario and Peach bouncing around to different locations. They didn't even go to that many locations. They went to the Donkey Kong
They went
country.
Castle, Donkey Kong, and back.
Yeah,
and
that was
they
about
ended
it.
up in Brooklyn at the end, or near the end.
Yeah, they just went to get the help of the Kongs to fight against Bowser.
Lost them.
Yeah, lost them.
Arrived back. Yeah, there's not that many. I was on it. That was kind of disappointing. Like for how fast paced and constantly moving the movie was, the sceneries weren't moving that much. We did get little clips of other areas, and also Peach has this holographic map that appears, and so you could see all the different areas. So you could see the desert, other things, which by the way did not look like a Mario game map, and I'm still disappointed in that. But you could see all these different areas, and at one point they walked through a few of them in like 3 seconds. And by the way, the music did not change to reflect the biome they were in, which was another missed opportunity.
Yeah, the music in this, like for some reason, you have an entire library of Mario music, endless Mario music, hundreds of soundtracks, and the music they chose is "Take on Me."
So bad.
Copyright strike on us.
Yeah, but they're in a go-kart and they're driving down the road and this is going on and I'm like, I'm sorry. This, one, not Mario. Two, completely irrelevant to what's going on right now. There is no one in this situation is relying on another person at all. They're just taking a tour of the Donkey Kong area, which is not a rely on me themed area to justify this song. It's also not like a Mario Kart music.
Well, they were kind of relying on the Donkey Kong,
whose name we don't have, and I don't know.
We're relying on the Kongs to save the day because the Toads are a bunch of cowards.
Yeah, but this song,
Peach has literally no army, by the way.
Zero.
She
got
has
nothing.
weapons. There are like actual like halberdiers, not halberdiers, like halberds.
Yeah.
In the castle, Peach grabs one, but no one's using them.
No, yeah, because at first we were like, wow, she accepts Mario really, really fast. And then you later realize that, oh, it's because the Toads they got nothing.
Yeah, Mario shows up around the time that Bowser is going to go and attack. And so Mario's just like, oh, hey, can I come along with you? Because I need to save my brother Luigi, who fell into the Dark Lands, which is where Bowser lives.
Mm-hmm.
And Peach is just like, yeah, okay, you can come along so long as you can beat this obstacle course.
Which he proceeds not to beat. And then she's still like, but you never gave up, and I admire that. So you can come along. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Peach, how desperate are you? And then the Toad shows up. That's amazing, by the way. The Toad is a great character. Who comes to join them, and he's like, I can go. I'm brave. I'll go with you guys. And she's like, you're the first Toad who's ever been brave enough to come with me. And I'm like, oh, Peach. Oh, no.
Yep, that's where we learned that she had no army.
She needed, yeah. Actually, it was funny when she's talking to the Donkey Kong, Cranky Kong, and she's sitting there, it's like, we have heart, You guys have strength, and together we can defeat Bowser. And I'm like, girl, you got nothing.
Yeah, and Cranky Kong acknowledges this, and he's just like, yeah, no, we're not helping you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but if Bowser takes over our kingdom, then he's coming for yours. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to make a difference whether or not you're saved. Their army's going to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the entire thing with Peach and Mario, by the way, where Peach is teaching Mario to
That went on too long, in my opinion. Like, I feel like
it went on
if
a
they could
while.
have cut. So one of the issues we had with the movie was character development, and that every time a moment was happening, and we're like, "Ooh, character growth," they cut. It's like they clicked the skip cutscene button in the Mario game and just whoop past it, very blatantly. Like, it is very obvious that they're about to have a moment. Oh, look, they're at Donkey Kong's place now, type thing. So I feel like the whole obstacle course thing would have been a very easy thing just to scratch and then give it to character growth time.
Yeah, there were so many points in this movie where I thought that they were going to give character growth. I thought that they were going to show development, have some moments, like the scene with Peach talking to Mario about how, yeah, you almost had it, you have heart, you didn't give up and all that.
And then they're on their way and Toad shows up. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or the big one was Donkey Kong and Mario are inside the whale.
It's an eel?
I don't know what it is. Either way, they're inside this creature, sitting down. And then Donkey Kong has this they're bonding over their bad fathers. And Donkey Kong has this whole thing, I'm more than brute strength. And then instantly it cuts to him brute strengthing his way out. And then he proceeds to brute strength for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're more than brute strength. I don't believe you. I think that's your only personality at the moment.
Yeah, literally we are told Donkey Kong has more character than this, but we're never shown it.
Yeah.
Like, show don't tell. I mean, you can tell us that he is more than brute strength. He angrily says this as he's smashing stuff. And it would have been fine if they had that, so long as afterwards we were shown him having some other trait.
Which is like the entertainment. So his whole thing, which I noticed, is that he entertains people. He's a showman. That's what he does. His dad, right? Yeah.
Cranky Kong.
Yeah, but I think he said it was dad, which is weird because I think there's supposed to be grandson.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so that really threw me off. But I think in the movie it's his dad. And he really hates his showmanshipness of the way he does things and the fact that he's not just brute strength, he's a showman about it. But he doesn't do any showman stuff after this talk or talk about how he wants to be a showman or how he likes putting on shows and entertaining people, and that's his whole thing. They have like one moment where he like rescues his dad from the lava, and the dad's like, "Oh, you can do your showman stuff now because you did this, and I'm proud of you." And he's like, "Not now, definitely later," and then races off. And I'm like, was that it? Was that our closure? Is that all we got here?
So he's going off to do brute strength.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just saying the Copas really love their entertainment. He could have put on a distracting show and they would have ate it up. And that would honestly have been a really cool way to show that he's more than just brute strength and to feed off of his character development.
Yeah, they actually had this setup for a whole other side to his character. Entertainer.
Yeah.
Performer. Maybe that's like what he wants to be. He like, but his if father's like, no, you're really good at smashing stuff, so you will be a gladiator. But that's not what he wants to be.
Well, he likes gladiator, but he wants to be an entertaining gladiator.
Yeah.
He wants to dance beforehand and
he wants to smash the opponent and then be like, all right, everybody, look at my pecs.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. He was
Yeah. But you get the idea. And so, if he could have had like a cool smash battle at maybe Peach's wedding or something to show that off and like use his entertainment side to defeat the enemy, I think that would have been really cool and a really good use of the character growth, and also gave that moment with him and Mario more time where they could have they said the thing and then they were instantly off instead of letting both of them process what they said and actually bond over it. Because the relationships here, my goodness, they became best friends so fast.
Yes.
And then they stayed best friends.
They were enemies, by the way, before. Like they
hated
were not
each other.
enemies.
Well,
They were allies. They were rivals. They were rivals, but they were on the same side. They were allied. They just didn't like each other. And and then they just became best friends way too quickly because they bonded over how they each have terrible fathers and something about Donkey Kong
Unsupportive
smashing
father. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, neither of their fathers was supportive. But thing is, I'm thinking they could have done so much more with that, and they just didn't. It really was that quick resolution and everything. But what
There wasn't even a resolution. They were just decided to be friends, but there was
Yeah.
no like them acknowledging that they're friends now or like any reason for them to be like they went from Donkey Kong said some hateful things inside that eel, let me tell you, and they went from that and then 2 seconds later they were riding a rocket ship and he's like, and we're even now. I'm like, what? You're friends now? Is this what's happening?
The development was not earned.
No.
Yeah, but like thing is, I think that it could have been so much better if they had leaned a little bit heavier into the that father aspect of it, because this is something that they have in common. But the thing is, when we see both of their fathers, both of them are basically just saying like they're not being super supportive. Like Cranky Kong is at least supportive of Donkey Kong, saying that hey, you're a gladiator, but he's not saying that he should be a performer. Yeah. Mario's father is saying you shouldn't have gone and started your own plumbing business. You had a stable job. But they don't really go anywhere beyond that. Like, there's a dinner table scene with Mario and his family. And he's got his family just sort of poking fun at him for his life choices. Same thing with Luigi, like poking fun at Luigi. And I think that what they should have done was they could have had like the family poking fun at them. Then the mom was supportive, but they could have had the dad be furious with Mario. Maybe there should have been like some shouting. I wanted shouting at Mario and Luigi. I wanted him to be angry at what they have done, because he's saying you are throwing your life away. I have built up this family. I have raised you, right? Why are you choosing this direction? You're throwing your life away. And like, if there was like some seriously hurtful things said, and he was seriously angry at Mario, I think one, you could have added in an arc there for his dad, and two, that would have made more of an impact to make the impact with Donkey Kong and Mario more impactful. Like
also, it would have given Mario an arc. Yeah. Mario doesn't really have an arc. He is just this, I'm going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. He has one moment in the movie where he's like, I'm not sure I want to keep trying anymore. And I'm just sitting there going, you, what? Yeah, no, just get up. Like, I didn't feel any pity for him. Like, sure, he's sitting there bruised and bleeding. And I'm like, no, you're going to get up because you're you. And so this isn't a change for you. There's no arc here. You're just going to keep doing what you've always done, which is get up, keep going, you know. It was like did he do anything wrong? Ever?
He quit his stable job.
Did he do anything like actually morally wrong, or like that makes you? Because he never gives up looking for his brother. He's just always determined. He never. There's no point of him showing cowardice or the fact that like his dad doesn't approve. None of that ever affects him.
He's just a good guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have any drive to change because he's already like his peak self. In this movie,
he has the arc of learns to use power-ups, which it's not a personal, emotional journey in any way, but
it's a power-up.
He learned to eat a mushroom. There's an arc. He doesn't like mushrooms, but he learns to eat his vegetables anyway.
Honestly, that joke didn't go far enough. Like, it kind of stopped halfway. Like, he just starts continuing eating mushrooms. And I'm like, I feel like this could have been a really good gag throughout the entire movie, like a connecting gag. Yeah, no, it kind of stops halfway through the movie. So if you're expecting to like that gag, no, it just ends.
Yeah, that was really weird. It really felt like they were building up to something, but instead it was just a brief, I don't like mushrooms. And then later on, oh, I don't like mushrooms. Now I got to eat a bigger mushroom.
He throws up at one point, you know, because he ate too many mushrooms.
Yeah.
Which apparently counts as hurting yourself and depowering yourself. In case you were wondering, if you get physically ill and throw up, you lose a power-up. That's now a thing.
I mean, if the mushroom is giving you the power-up and then you regurgitate it.
Yeah, I guess that's valid.
Yeah, they were very accurate to the games, by the way, in this. They inserted so much stuff from the games, so you get a power up by eating a mushroom, but then if you get hurt, you lose the power up. You get power ups from fire flowers. You get hurt, you lose the fire flower power. He eats the mushroom and he grows to twice his normal size.
Yeah. He turns into a raccoon at one point. He turns into a cat at another point. It's some weird times. I was kind of disappointed that they never had the water breathing one. Because
what water?
There's one that lets you breathe underwater. Right?
Most of the Mario games that I'm thinking of, like, I can't think of any Mario games that have power-ups that let you breathe underwater. A lot of them, you just breathe underwater normally.
Is that what happens? I thought there was like a power-up that you could have that helped you do that. And then if you took damage, you started losing air and you had to find the power-up again. I feel like this is a game.
I think it might have been something to do with the shell one time.
Yeah, I feel like this is a thing. I might be wrong. I've played like 2 Mario games in my life, so unless it's one of those 2. But I thought that was a thing.
Yeah, speaking of like how Mario was beaten up and bruised and everything, how there's all these fight scenes. This movie was surprisingly violent.
Goodness, they killed like 800 people in Brooklyn. Bowser's castle just pops out of the pipe and just smashes like 12 apartment buildings.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's like off-screen deaths that I think they're just hoping you don't think about. But there's a lot of on-screen violence and a lot of on-screen deaths. There is a suicide bomber. There's people getting their bones crushed. People being burned alive.
Yeah.
It is surprisingly violent.
I felt like a proper Mario game.
Yeah. Like, you know, everybody always jokes about how Mario goes around and he jumps on the Goombas and he squishes them and he just crushes all of their internal organs and stuff. He does that here.
Yeah.
He just goes and casually starts stomping on Goombas and crushes them. He like, there's Koopas that he sticks into their shells and then throws them into each other and they die in fiery explosions. And then the blue shell.
Just the suicide bomber. He just like, you're not getting away from me that easy. And then turns into a shell and then just nukes the bridge with the bonnet and sends Donkey Kong and Mario into the ocean.
Yeah, you know how in Mario Kart, the blue shell is unescapable and it chases you, it homes in on whoever's in first and then dives down and blows up. The blue shell did that while a Koopa was in it. Like, the Koopa has control of the shell and decides to fly over to Mario and suicide bomb.
To be fair, it's going to go over kids' heads what happened there.
Are you sure?
Hopefully they're not going to be like, oh, that was a suicide bomb, because they shouldn't be thinking about that in general. But
I think they can still pick up that Koopa is dead.
Yeah. It was violent. There was lots of on-screen death and a lot of suggested off-screen death. Because I want to note with the penguins, you notice how he had there was only 3 penguins left? What happened?
I thought there was a bunch of other cages there, though.
Yeah, but most of them didn't have penguins in it.
Oh, I thought they did.
No,
I don't know.
There were a lot of other creatures in there, too. I don't know. They were very shadowy, but I'm a little concerned by the lack of prisoner penguins.
I think that might have been the animators just couldn't fit them into the scene.
Yeah, but that suggests something else, though. Also,
True.
the star prisoner.
The Luma.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite Mario games, just period. I love that Mario game, except it's not 2-player. But otherwise...
Well, it's 2-player. It's just that player 2 sucks.
If you fool your friends into playing the second player, it's 2-player. But for the most part, it's just 1-player. But and so it was really cool to see him there. But I'm also sitting there like, why are you here? Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? Also, you can leave.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of funny, though. He had some funny lines.
He was hilarious. I adored him. Just all about death and depression. And just everyone's reactions to him was genuinely funny. Because he loves death.
This movie is all about death.
There's a lot of jokes about death and destruction and violence.
And then a lot of, again, on-screen death and violence.
Mm-hmm.
I really am surprised at just how violent it got. And there was one time, Kemet, like the wizard Koopa, this was somehow the most painful scene, visually painful to watch. And it was Bowser slamming a grand piano cover. You know how you cover the keyboard the keys with it. He slams the cover on Kemet's hands, and that was the most painful to watch one. Like, I felt Kemet's pain in that. And then he tells Kemet to leave it there. What did he say? Pain is something along...
The pain is the best teacher.
Yes, pain is the best teacher.
I'm like, what are you teaching him in this moment?
Yeah, Bowser, I guess it's a good time to talk about Bowser.
Bowser was great. I love Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser...
They nailed him.
Yes, they somehow took him from the game and adapted him perfectly into the movie, which I did not think was possible, but they made it work.
He was genuinely terrifying, but at the same time, they did go with the whole Peach romance thing, and I am so glad they did, because it was amazing. Because then you have like these really cringy scenes. There's the whole music thing, which I was just like, I don't know how to feel anymore.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Yeah, there's all that. There's him practicing his proposal with the wizard guy all dressed up like her.
Which is another reference to Mario games where he disguises himself as Peach and then hides in a cage when Mario shows up.
Yeah, it was just, and his whole thing about like being really jealous of Mario and Luigi going in. The whole scene with Luigi and the mustache and him being there is like, is this the type of guy that a princess would be attracted to? And he's like, well, if she has good taste.
Yes.
I'm like, Luigi, it's great that you're being like a wingman, but this is not the person to be a wingman for.
Yes, like I said, this is a really funny movie. It has so many good lines. And again, they nailed Bowser, and Jack Black did a pretty darn good job with him. There were a few times where I felt like his voice was a little bit off. Like, it just didn't feel like Bowser, but for the most part, yeah, like it works surprisingly well.
It was the perfect amount of genuinely terrifying and extremely cringy, which is what Bowser is. He is extremely cringy, but he's also extremely terrifying. And they got it. I was so happy. Like, every time Bowser came on the screen, I was like, oh, this is good. This is how it's supposed to be. Like, and he's not like, he's a harsh ruler and king, but like his followers genuinely like him, and you can see why they like him. And you're not surprised that he has this undead army that follows him into war and like does his bidding. Because he's never shown as a bad king in the games, and he's not in the movie either, which is good. Because I was a little worried that they would go full mega evil. He tortures all his subjects to a horrifying extent.
Well, he was going to sacrifice a bunch of innocents in Peach's honor.
No, yeah, he's gonna murder and do all that stuff, but he's not gonna do that to his own people.
That's true. I mean, well, then again, he did burn one of them alive.
Yeah, but he just turns into dry bones afterwards, so it's fine.
He still burned him alive against his will.
He's just a dry bone, so it's fine. Also, he still has like a respect and an authority, and if someone talks back to him, they get punished, but
true.
They let him. He lets them have parties. He hires bands.
Yeah,
it looked like an epic party. I'm like, it's a good work party.
I mean, part of me is wondering if he would be the better ruler to serve than Peach, just because we don't see Peach doing anything. Like, Peach does nothing in regards to her subjects. We don't know how she is as a ruler. All we know is that the Toads took her in when she was young, and then they made her their princess. And that's it.
But there's no why.
They just randomly chose to make her the princess.
Yeah, we don't get much, like, that's another thing. Like, that feels like something that could have been a really good character arc for Peach, is this whole, like, they made me the princess, and I don't know why, and I want to be able to prove to them that I'm worthy of this, and I want to do what I want. But she's just, again, she's like Mario in that both of them just have this undying confidence in what they're doing, and that they're going to succeed, and they're doing great. Because even when Peach fails, right, and she doesn't
really even fail that much.
Yeah, but like Donkey Kong's got she lost the army. She succeeded in getting Mario did in getting them on board, but they're lost now. She comes in, she tells her people to flee, and she's still like, I'm gonna buy you time. I'm gonna be great for my people, and like I don't know, they're too perfect. All the characters in this, except maybe Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
Okay. Donkey Kong had the most arc.
He just didn't have much screen time.
Yeah, they didn't complete his arc, but Donkey Kong at least had a decent arc. But the rest of them, they were just already at peak selves, and therefore there was nowhere for them to go above that. Like, Peach was a confident ruler, even if we never saw her do anything. Mario was confident that it doesn't matter how many times I'm going to fail, I'm going to keep trying. He was already at that point. Luigi just goofs his way throughout the entire movie and nothing changes. And I mean, Bowser was just great. He didn't need an arc.
Yeah. Luigi does literally nothing throughout this entire movie.
So is Peach. Peach doesn't do anything. The Toad does more than Peach does.
Peach shows up and she kicks butt.
Yeah.
That's Peach.
She
That's her character.
agrees to marry Bowser, but doesn't actually go through it and has like her own gotcha moment.
And she definitely isn't Peach from the video game.
No.
Like, the other characters they seem to do pretty darn well with, but Peach did not adapt well. She's a totally different character than she is in the game.
I feel like they could still make Peach like this like Peach, especially Mario Kart, she'll wreck you.
Yeah.
She will just annihilate. Like, Peach has, and if you ever play like the Mario Party games, Peach as an AI is scary. She's considered one of the smarter AIs. Like, certain characters will actually are tiered in some games, Mario Party games, and she's always on the higher tier. For good reasons. She will annihilate you in games. Like, that's what she's programmed to do. So the idea of her being able to annihilate as Peach is still a thing. It just didn't feel like Peach at all.
It didn't feel like her character, but that's because from the lines that we get in the video games, we mostly in the main games, we have help and thank you, Mario. So she's often damsel in distress, but she's always this very gentle figure. She's also
usually perky and like
she's very perky.
Upbeat. Like, I was kind of looking forward to like this upbeat, perky, more gentle. I will still kick you into the next century if you get on my bad side, princess. And instead, we just got this really. She honestly felt like Mario. It was just another Mario, but in female version, which is not
more competent.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, I almost feel like the movie should have been about her, except for the fact that it's a Mario movie.
Yeah,
we could have had a movie about Peach learning to be a good ruler, what it means to rule. Maybe an arc where she learns how to rally her troops behind her to face Bowser, how to inspire her followers.
That you can be more than just cute little toads. You could be deadly cute toads.
Yes.
Learn from the penguins.
And then I imagine, like, in the movie, once she inspires them, we have these screaming, roaring toads going, yeah, as they put on, like, the stripes as if they're football players on their cheeks.
They would.
And they grab some sticks like the other Adventure Toad, or maybe the pole arms that she's just got scattered about the castle for some reason. Like,
they could just raid the antique shop. I'm sure it's got some good weapons.
It's got a bunch of sharp items.
He really does all that furniture from past eras.
Yes. They could have like grabbed a hold of I don't know, what other weapons?
I assume they can also use power-ups.
Yeah,
too.
they can. So they could just grab some fire flowers and mushrooms. They could. Yeah. In fact, you didn't even need a separate movie for this. This could have been her arc.
Yeah.
This could have been her arc. Why are we able to come up with better alternatives for the movie and better character and all of that?
Because imagine
just off the footage of watching this movie.
Because actually, just picture this instead. So she's kidnapped by Bowser, right? But before that, instead of telling her subjects to flee, she tries to inspire them to fight, but they flee anyways. But then they feel bad. Donkey Kong shows up, Mario show up to them, and then they're like, oh. And then they have like this reminiscence of how much Peach has done with them as a ruler. We could get some cool flashbacks of things she's done in the past that we don't know about, fill in some of these gaps we're missing. And then Mario and Donkey Kong are able to finish the inspiring thing, lead them to go rescue Peach. They come marching in as an army of toads in there. Donkey Kong has some cool distraction plan that allows him to use his entertainment skills. And then Mario still gets like that hero feel that he always does of rescuing Peach. Peach could have still had her ice flower in the bouquet and done that the whole thing too. That doesn't have to change because that was still cool. So she could still have her whole, oh, I'm not going to marry you, never was, haha, I have a ice flower, take that moment. And then you just, epic battle ensues. And then it's the same battle scene pretty much, but with thousands of little toads against these guys. And that would have been so much more impactful and finished up people's arcs. Or I mean, not Mario's. Mario's arc needs a lot of help to even become an arc, but
Yeah.
it would have at least finished Donkey Kong's and Peach, both given and completed their arc.
Yeah, and again, we could add in more with Mario and his father and Donkey Kong in that one scene in the eel,
Yeah.
and that could have significantly helped Mario. But you see how we're making all these minor changes? We're not really changing anything about the plot. It's
Yeah.
the same plot. It's the same characters. It's the same structure. We're just adding in small little things that wouldn't really add anything to the runtime. It might add a little bit, but there's some stuff you could cut out pretty easily. And
Like the obstacle course that just kept going.
Peaches!
No, you need that.
So maybe once. You don't necessarily need it twice, but
No,
twice
it was
is
the
still
end
good.
credit scene because it was funny and he's in the little glass,
I thought
the
that-
mini one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, he only has it once.
Okay. Anyways, but still, there's stuff like the obstacle course that you could probably trim down on. Some scenes where they were just, it was just like some stuff that was just shoved in there for the trailer. But if you cut down on that stuff and inserted these other small things, you could probably still have a 90-minute runtime.
Yeah, and you don't lose any of the jokes.
Yeah.
All the jokes are still there, all the cool scenes, all the cool animations.
You
It's the
just
same
have-
plot.
You just have better characters.
You just have better characters.
And I don't know why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's like we are.
We
Yeah,
watched this
we're-
movie like 3-4 hours ago, and we're sitting here being able to just come up with this already.
Yeah,
Like,
how is it that we are able to come up with all this, and yet these professional writers and producers, executives, all the people working on the Mario movie together, crafting it, all of the reviewers that they had, just everyone making sure that this movie was up to standards. How did they not think of this?
I don't know. Also, I think something we have to talk about is the certain actor who played Mario and how I don't care how big of a name you are. If you can't play a character, you should not be hired to play the character. He was an awful Mario. I've said it and I stand by it.
He had a few good scenes, though. There were some points
They
where
were not enough, though, to make up for the rest of it.
Yeah, there were multiple scenes where his
I don't know what
voice
he was
just
doing.
his voice was high enough at some points, and he had the sort of jolly "let's go" sort of thing. But for most of the movie, it wasn't like that. And then he would have those higher pitched lines, but then his voice would suddenly drop, and he sounds more like "let's go," and I'm like.
I don't know what was going. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted. So they have the first scene with the commercial and stuff where they're very Italian.
Yes, and they have
and-
the high pitched voices.
Yeah, and then instantly after they go, "Oh, is the fake Italian accents too much?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's clever. What they're doing here is they're acknowledging that he's supposed to have that voice, but they wanted a big name actor, and they don't want to like waste him, so
Yeah.
they're gonna let him do his normal voice, and this is how they're explaining it." But then they proceed to still have him do like a terrible Italian accent and say a bunch of Italian phrases that honestly they were more offensive and obnoxious than funny. At points, like I was getting annoyed. It's like the Canadian A. They needed to stop.
Yeah, all I have to say, like, here's how terrible all of the Italian lines and cliches that they were using were. It just made me go, "Mamma mia!" And because they went "Mamma mia" on repeat.
Oh,
Multiple, there's probably like 6 times throughout the movie they just kept on saying "Mamma mia,"
and then they slow down,
They
and
did
you're
it
like,
in
"What
slow
are you doing?"
motion, and I don't know why. It was just whenever they said "Mamma mia," they would just have Mario flying through the air, and it would be slow motion. He just goes "Mamma mia," and I'm like,
What?
okay, it's good. Like if you just maybe once or twice throughout the movie, but like 6 times. I don't know if that's the actual number. It may be more, but I think it was around 6.
Yeah, and they also had like the parents saying it, and Luigi said it a few times, and I'm just going, just please stop. You could. Yeah, it's not even like a line he uses ever in the games, so I'm just confused.
Okay, we got to write an Italian family. How do we do it? They say "Mamma mia" and they eat pasta.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Yeah, which both things happen in this. And I'm going like, yep, good job, guys. Just rely on stereotypes, negative stereotypes too. That's even better. But good job.
I mean, I like pasta. I don't see that as a negative.
Anyway.
If you are known for pasta, I'm like, that's a good thing to be known for.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, if that's how you're defining Italian.
Yeah.
And establishing that they're Italian. Otherwise, like, the commercial and, there's a specific Italian family dynamic, and that they're loud. And they kind of nailed it. I'm not going to lie, like, that family dinner element. And for those who are wondering,
I still wanted the shouting father.
Yeah, there would have totally been the shouting father if they really did an Italian family. And I can say all this.
And it would have fit with the arc.
I can say all this because I have a very Italian half of my family, like my mom's dad. They are 100% Italian. I've gone to like my grandfather's birthday party with his 6 brothers, all in a room, and them trying to stuff food down my face. Like, I know what an Italian family looks like, and I sat there and was like, this is, for one, probably too quiet. And for 2, this just feels like a relying on stereotypes and not like the true heart of what Italian. Because they can be very judgy, and because that's just how they're raised and what their culture is. But it's always from like a place of deep love and sentiment. And I don't think they got that feeling right with this family. I mean, they were trying with like Luigi and Mario being brothers and like that blood bond and stuff and all that family thing. But I don't know, it never really hit. Like their relationship and their bond. Like, I'm like, great, you love each other, you're brothers. But I felt like the reason why they're connected was never really there, other than like Mario felt responsible for protecting Luigi from bullies. But
again, if they just focus more on the father, they just had the father shouting at him, they could have been there for each other, where like Mario's feeling down because you got this big impactful moment with the father shouting, and Luigi shows up as just like, hey, don't mind him.
Yeah, and I mean, and they almost had it with the food. Him bringing like the food to him, and he's like, "Oh, you remember, you're not dragging me into this. I picked this." And then it cuts, and we're straight into like another scene. And I'm like, "Okay, can we have that moment longer, please, of those 2 bonding over their pasta?"
The characters in this movie were terrible, except for Bowser.
Bowser was great,
and Toad.
Toad was pretty good. Toad didn't need a character arc either. Toad was Toad.
Toad doesn't. Okay. Yeah, Toad was a side character that didn't need an arc.
He was a brave Toad
who
was going to stand by Peach to the end, and that's what he did, and that's all he needed to be. And good on Toad.
By the way, the voice for Toad,
also good on them.
The voice was amazing. I'm really surprised at how not annoying he was.
I loved Toad.
Like you would expect Toad that like with a voice like to sound extremely annoying, but he's like, "Come here, Mario!" Like you would expect it to be extremely annoying, but no, the voice actor nailed it.
It was great. It felt like Toad, and then like 2 minutes later in the movie, I'm like, I would die for Toad. We must protect Toad at all costs.
Yeah, like Toad was perfectly fine. Bowser was good.
They're like cooking for the other Toads, and he's just like, "Go."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I love Toad.
But all the other characters, they needed some work. But again, if you're just looking for like a nonsensical movie that's just a bunch of nonsense, just a trip as if you ate a bunch of mushrooms and you didn't know what they were going to do, watch this movie.
That's good.
You'll have a good time. Like, if you're looking for anything deep and emotionally heart-wrenching,
no,
this is not the movie for you.
That's it. Yeah.
But it's certainly fun.
Mm-hmm. It's a good first date movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. I think that's everything, right?
Probably not. We're after we stop recording, we're gonna remember.
Think of like 800 other things.
But with that, guys, we are going to end it here, and we will see you all next week.